Yep.
Yep.
Battery's about dead too, sounds like. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel over here at the Shop B&K Performance. We're working on the race car. I hadn't been recording a lot of stuff earlier today. Let me show you what we got going on. If y'all want to support the channel, head on over to turbojohnracing.com. Grab yourself some hats and t-shirts. All right, guys. Well, here you go. The motor is installed. So I ended up going to the dentist today, and they weren't able to pull my tooth because they don't know exactly which one is hurting. So I got another dentist appointment with another dentist next week. So come over here. Got the headers on the car. Got the headers on the engine. Got it all primed up, all the oil lines. Very easy to prime this thing. This is a homemade primer that we done. Just got through priming. It makes like 40 pounds of oil pressure. You can see up here, it's starting to get oil coming up the rockers. Now, depending on where they're at in their stroke, there may or may not be any coming. This is the turbo feed line. It was pumping a lot of there pretty good. So that is pretty cool when you do that. So I have 40 pounds of oil pressure. So using Schaefer's oil. So we got 6 quarts of oil in it right now. And we're going to crank it up without the turbo. So what I'll do is I'll take this line loose and cap it right here, and then we'll get this thing going. This is, just so you can see, the primer, and this is the oil flow. You can see how much oil comes through this thing, and then up here you can see it starting to come out the rocker arms. So we've got good oil pressure everywhere. So we are ready to almost crank this thing. All I gotta do, I'm gonna take this off, put the intake on it, then go ahead and get all the fuel pump mounted up. It's almost ready to crank. So let's work on this for a few minutes. We'll see you in a second. All right, guys. Well, we are getting closer. Valve covers are on, intake's on, throttle body's on. So all this is looking good. So now we still got this thing set up. I have not turned the motor over yet. So we got this thing set up where it needs to be. So I need to get my cam sync. I'm gonna go ahead and start plugging everything up. Get everything plugged up except for the cam sync. And then I'll show you how to set the cam sync. It usually is pretty easy. And then once we do that, I still don't have the torque converter bolts in. I was remeasuring right now. I've got about 220 thousandths space, and I've got 60 thousandths shims. So if you do that math, that puts us at 160 thousandths space in between the torque converter and flex plate, essentially. According to torque converter manufacturers, that's within spec 125 to 187, but I want it to be closer to 187, 190. So probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to get some custom shims that are just a small tad thinner. So I want it to be about 30 to 40 thousandths thick. Hopefully I'm not going to have to machine those washers down, because that will be a nightmare. I don't know that I can do it. So we're going to go ahead and start hooking that up, and then we got to just hook the fuel pump up, and then we'll prime the fuel system, and we're going to try to crank this thing up in just a few minutes. Hopefully it cranks up and don't give us any issues. We obviously don't have any oil leaks now since we primed the oil system, so that's good. It should fire right up usually. As long as I've got the cam sync stabbed in the right spot, it should fire up no problem. And we'll let it warm up, sit here and idle for a few minutes, then we'll let it cool down, and possibly, I don't know, it depends on how everything goes. I may pull the headers and stuff off and retorque the heads. The only problem is the headers, they're easy to put on outside the car, but on the car down there, they're kind of tight. Mustang Life, I need to cut all this stuff out If I had a full tube chassis car, it would make life a lot easier. All right, guys, check out this wiring. This is a standard wiring harness, but I was going to show y'all this MSD as well. So this, when the red light is on, that means it's not on the sensor. And I'm turning it. You can see it goes off and it comes back on. So the way you set this one up in a small block Chevrolet is the rotor is turning this way, right? So it's turning clockwise. So as the rotor's turning, we want digital falling. So the way we want this thing to set for digital falling is when it goes off, and then right when it comes back on, that's where it needs to be. That's the edge. So essentially, what we want it to do to set this thing up, we'll put it down in there, and then we turn this so that we're turning it counterclockwise. And essentially, what'll happen is once it goes off and then turns back on, that's where we want to put this. So it's real simple, real easy to do, and that should be in the right place. All right, guys, here we go. So we're going to try to crank this thing up real fast. Hopefully it fires up and we don't have any issues. Of course, the turbo is not on it.
Because we want to hit a cam.
We're going to heat it up. Come on now. All right, there we go. All right, let's see if she fires up. And don't leak everything everywhere.
Ben, keep an eye under the car since you're sitting down for fluids escaping.
Yep.
Go.
Battery's about dead too, it sounds like.
It does.
That dude, remember it was on the engine stand, the old man that was whacking it and about to jump off?
God, that's hilarious.
That's what I was about to do. I won't blow my junk up though. All right, guys, it runs. It's got good oil pressure too. Well, it is running. Sounds pretty good. Got good oil pressure. I didn't show y'all on the video either. I shimmed the oil pressure spring just a little bit, put another little washer in there, and it increased the oil pressure, which is good. So now it's got 2 shims in there, and right there, I mean, the oil's still cold. It was, it went up to like 90-some, 100 PSI when you revved it. So as it warms up, it's going to come down some. So, but good oil pressure is a good thing. So, yeah, so everything looks good. So fire end to hold. Only thing I got left to do now, I got to put turbo kit on it, a couple little things here and there, and then we'll be ready to go. We'll be ready to go racing soon. So, yeah, got to do some stuff in the transmission. Got to pull the, got to get the shims right, and I'm gonna reduce the converter feed pressure, the converter feed orifice size. A little bit, I'll show you all that in another video, but we're going to be racing at No Prep Kings a couple weeks. Later, guys. Comment, like, and subscribe if y'all want to support the channel. Head to turbojohnracing.com. Grab yourself some merchandise. Thanks, guys.